Good morning. How is everyone? My name is Rod Brown, and we are finishing up our series on It's Time to Grow. And today we're going to talk about explosive growth. Explosive growth, that's what we're looking at. I mean, we're all on a some type of growth journey. So why not have explosive growth, or why not have exponential growth versus having just steady growth? Why not just explode from, one point to the next? So if we're going to grow, why not grow big, right? So we're going to talk about explosive growth today, or exponential growth. And before we get into, the secret sauce of what will bring us exponential growth, I just want to spend some time just talking about just growth itself, and not assuming that we all know what it takes for us to grow. I want to share just three things that we have to do. Three things that need to be on our to-do list when it comes to us having, exponential growth, or us just growing, period. First of all, the first thing I want you to do is I want you to have a growth intention, meaning I want you to intend to grow, or have an intention every single day where growth is top of mind for you. We grow by happenstance, or we grow intentionally, and I want you to grow intentionally. I don't want you to just experience happenstance growth, because you will grow, but it will be some moderate growth, or it will be growth that is passive and not active. And I want you to be actively involved in your growth. I mean, even Jesus said, when I was a child, I did what children did, but when I grew up and I became a man, I put those childish things away. Meaning, there wasn't a whole lot of the action of growing from a child to an adult that just happened, and then that growth of not wanting to play with toys or deal with childish things, that went away because of the movement from a child to an adult. So it wasn't a whole lot of that growth happened in a passive manner. But I want you to actively think about growth. I want it to be top of mind. So when you wake up in the morning, you're thinking about, okay, what do I need to do today? Or what are some of the actions that I need to put in place to make sure that I'm moving toward my active growth journey? So I want it to be intentional for you. Number two, I want you to work on developing yourself. And how do I do that? How do I develop myself? Well, one of the things I can do is something that's very, very simple, and that's read. Leaders read, period. And when I read, it could be an article. It doesn't have to be a book every single day, but it could be an article. It could be a white paper. And, of course, it can be a book. And when I do this every single day, I am tapping into someone else's knowledge. I'm tapping into someone else's resources. I'm reducing my learning curve in a particular area, in a certain area, when I, in fact, read something every single day that someone else wrote, that brought a different perspective, that brought me some education about something that I didn't have in the past. So read every single day. Leaders read often. Find someone in your space that has done, what you want to do. You want to find someone that you can emulate. Again, it's an example that's before us. Oftentimes, we're creatures of sight, and when we see something, we can emulate that something. That something also motivates us. But find someone that has done exactly what you want to do in a space. That also lets you know that it's not impossible. Right? So if you see someone succeeding in the space that you're in, you're like, if you're struggling in that space, or if you have some doubt, you can see an example that should make you go, wow, it's not impossible, because, that person did it. That person is succeeding. That person is doing very well in that particular area. So find someone that you can emulate, that you can be like in the space. And then lastly, I want you to help those that follow you have some personal success, or help them develop themselves personally. Now, whenever you develop yourself personally, or you develop or help those individuals develop themselves personally, that's going to bring you some success. That's going to bring you some personal success. And then ultimately this personal success is going to transform to the organization having success. But I want you to help those that follow you to develop themselves as well. I want you in your personal development to end up being, when I call my 3 C's, and those things are being confident. I want you to have confidence at the end of the day, and I want you to be crazy, and not literally crazy, but I want you to be like the Alexander Graham Bell crazy. You know, the dude who said, you know what, I want to talk to somebody who's not here. Or the Thomas Edison crazy who said at one time, you know, forget all these oil lamps. I want to use this electricity to light up the world. And everybody looked at him and said, oh, you're crazy. So I want you to ultimately, in your personal development, to be that kind of crazy. So you want to be competent. That means you're going to know the space that you're in as it relates to your personal development, which ultimately will bring you confidence. It will give you a tremendous amount of confidence once you are competent in that area, and then you're going to start thinking outside of the box, and you're going to become crazy. You want people to say that's a crazy idea, that's ridiculous. What makes you think that's going to work? Because the crazy people are the people who pretty much grew America, who created America, who created enterprise, who created business, who created inventions. And I want you to ultimately become that. So you're going to have a growth intention. You're going to develop yourself personally, which is going to bring you some personal success. And you're going to help someone that follows you to develop themselves. And that's kind of the foundation of this exponential growth that we're talking about today. And remember, we talked about the oak tree and the oak tree growing, and the above ground growth was a direct result of the below ground growth. This is the below ground growth stuff that we need for you to do. And this is developing your roots and growing your roots and basically watering your roots and fortifying your roots to help you have this tremendous growth that we're talking about. And now I want to talk about the secret sauce. And the secret sauce to having exponential growth is developing leaders. Developing leaders. Not attracting more followers so that you have a gang of followers or a huge complement of followers. No. If you want to see exponential growth, and that's growth that multiplies, and that's growth in your organization, that's growth of your team, that's success of your overall team or your business, or being an entrepreneur, you will spend a great deal of time not attracting followers, but developing leaders. And so now I want to spend some time talking about the differences between what someone who attracts followers does compared to that individual that develops leaders. And so someone who attracts followers, they have a need to be needed. So they have a need to be needed. So they bask in being needed. Now, the same person who develops leaders, they want to be succeeded. So they're not so hung up on constantly being needed. They want to be succeeded. They want to work themselves out of a job. So they are developing people that will be like them, that can do the things that they do, that can develop more leaders, right, that will continue this exponential growth. I promise you, if you focus on developing leaders versus attracting followers in your organization, on your team, in your business, in your family, then you will see this supernatural, this exponential growth that I'm talking about. Also, leaders who attract followers, they focus on weaknesses in the followers. They focus on weaknesses. However, leaders who develop other leaders, they focus on the strengths. So if you're a leader and you're, focused on attracting more followers, you're going to work on their weaknesses. You're going to help them, overcome their weaknesses instead of focusing on their strengths, to bring their strengths to the forefront. And I'm not suggesting that you ignore the weaknesses, but that's not going to be your primary focus. Your primary focus is going to be looking at the strengths and the gifts of these individuals to make sure they're placed in the right position so that they can be an effective leader overall. And then the weaknesses will be the things that you do work on, but that's not first and foremost. That's not what your focus is. Again, your primary focus is that individual or individual's strengths. People who attract followers, they treat every single person the same. Again, they treat every single person the same. However, a leader will treat individuals differently. And you know this if you have children. You know that your children, they react to, for example, discipline differently. So you can't have a cookie-cutter approach. I think that's one of the problems with our education system, that we take a cookie-cutter approach and we attempt to educate or attempt to teach people the exact same way. Because we do know that people, they learn differently. So instead of having a specific plan or specific technique for individuals, individually, we put them in a box and we hit them with a cookie cutter teaching. Well, a leader will treat individuals differently because they know the individuals are different, and they take the time to know and understand each individual on their team, each individual in their organization. So it's very important that you focus on the individual versus treating every single person the same. A leader who's trying to attract followers, they spend time with others. However, leaders who develop leaders, they invest with the right people. So the person who's trying to attract followers, who are trying to appease everyone, they're treating everyone the exact same, right? They're just spending time with everybody. They're shaking hands and kissing babies. Now, the people who are trying to develop leaders, they're looking for the right individuals to invest their time in, to mentor, to bring from that of a follower to a leader. So invest time in the right people if you're trying to develop leaders to get this, exponential growth that we're talking about. Leaders who attract followers, they grow typically by addition, right? So you're going to grow if you add followers to the team. You're going to grow if you have, competent people to the team. But if you're adding leaders to the team, or if you're developing leaders within the team, you're going to grow by multiplication. You're going to grow exponentially. It's not going to be addition only. It will be multiplication growth, and you'll see that because you have leaders that will help you carry out the vision. Leaders who attract followers impact only the people they touch. And this is a key point when it comes to developing leaders, because leaders who develop other leaders, they reach people beyond their reach. Your vision will be carried out many times over if you have leaders in the camp versus non-leaders or just followers in the camp. Your vision will be carried out well beyond your time here on earth. And that's what you ultimately want. If you look at Jesus, he had 12 disciples. He created 12 leaders or developed 12 leaders. His vision happened over and 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 over again for thousands of years. You can look at enterprise. You can look at business. Look at, say, a Walmart. Sam Walton developed leaders at these different stores and within his organization, even with his family. And Walmart goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. And the exponential leadership that I'm talking about, or this exponential growth that I'm talking about, it produces wealth versus riches. And the wealth doesn't always mean money, but typically anything that we can deem as wealthy, it's almost impossible to stop it. So you develop leaders, you'll develop exponential growth within your organization. Time flies when we are having fun. This was the It's Time to Grow series. I had a great time doing this. Please join us again next week. This call is always sponsored by ShareNote.com, which is an electronic health record system developed specifically for the behavioral health care industry. Please take a look at ShareNote.com when you get a chance. Thanks again for joining. I send you blessings and have an awesome day.